So we're all going out and we've got John Triggs here, who is going to present our 11th lunchbox session for the Orchard. And I'd just like to say thank you for coming along.
Thank you.
Everyone here and everyone online. I'll see you guys again in half an hour. I'll hand it over to you.
Thanks, Kayla, and it's fantastic to be here. The first thing I was kind of introduce what I've done and who I am, so you've got a picture of where I've come from. Actually, I remember when the first TV, my family got our first TV, it was when I was 12, and the telephone was a party line. And we had our phone answer was 2 longs and a short. You know, so now we've got these infernal cell phones, and we've got phone systems in business, and we've got all sorts of communication. And my view of the whole thing is that we don't use it very well. And that's why I've said that the telephone is a lethal weapon, but it can be a positive thing. And so at the moment, I believe that most companies don't plan how they communicate. And before we start that, I could just ask a few of you, or all of you, why you were here and what's your business?
I do upcycling workshops and upholster furniture and yeah.
Okay, fantastic.
I run Aroa Unique Accommodation.
Okay.
So I'm at the moment a business owner director for Common Grounds Fitness, and we do health and fitness here in Whangarei. And also I work for He Puna Marama Trust, which is setting up Māori entrepreneurs.
Okay, thank you. And I can't repeat that because I can't hear it all for the camera, but anyway, thank you for saying that. And you?
I'll just repeat what she said.
Yeah, cool. You work for the same business?
Yeah.
Okay, fine. And you, sir?
We're in the process of startup for, I guess.
You're in the process of starting up a business. Okay. And you, sir?
Digital marketing.
Digital marketing. Fantastic. So all business situations that require communication expertise, because at the end of the day, good communication, and I've got up here, indifferent communication of any kind has no plan. So when you start a business, most people start the business and then they get a phone and they answer it, and we've got a phone ringing. They get a phone, they answer it, they don't have a plan of how they're going to answer it, and so you need a plan for that. So the training part of that and the planning part of that is extremely important. And I had a business called Abico, and Abico sold bee pollen and health products. And I started with one phone and call waiting. And I started at 10 to 6 in the morning, and I had an ad on Radio Pacific at 10 to 6, and that's how I built the business. And the phone rang flat out from about 5 past 6. And I used to wait for 5 minutes and thinking, well, the ad didn't work, but then the phone would go nuts. And I'd have to call people back. And that's a big part of how the telephone could work positively for you. But I used to answer the phone by saying, "Good morning, welcome to Abico, can I help you?" And I'd done most of the selling because I'd done the ad on the radio. Most people would phone and say, "I'd like to order." So I get their name and address and their details and send out the product. When it grew, I had 24 stations, 12 girls working on it full time. And over a 2-year period, we had a 97% call in to order ratio because the selling was done first. That's a really big, important part of how you do it. So the preparation, the planning and the training. So we had training sessions for those girls on how to answer the phone, how to solve problems, how to understand the product, how to understand the people. That's why it was so seamless. And we did that every week. So the training, the communication has to be executed properly and in a friendly manner. So, bad communication, rude and rust. How often have you phoned a company and they don't introduce themselves? They're in a hurry. They sound busy. Do you follow that through? Do you do business with those people? Usually not. See, it's really, this offensive weapon, this lethal weapon thing is really important feature of what I'm talking to you about today, because if you use it wrongly, it's bad for your business. People stay away. Good communication identifies the company and the person answering. Now, one of the things about that is it's empowering to the person who's answering the phone, who, if they work for you or if it's yourself, it's amazing. Good morning, good afternoon. Welcome to whoever it is. Can I help you? If you really mean that, even if you're rushed, you know, the person at the other end is going to be comfortable with talking to you. And one of the rules that I have for using the telephone is never say something to somebody on the phone that you wouldn't say to their face. It's a good rule. Does it make sense? Because a lot of people, you know, it's very impersonal, but it's not. It's another person. It's another human being on the other side of the telephone who wants attention, service, to buy something, has a problem. You know, you've got to be in a mode to answer that, as if they were at your counter or you were in another situation. Asked to be of service, the company has a plan. So you have a plan for that, and you have a plan for if there's a problem, you've got someone to go to, so it's not, you're not going to muck that person around. You know, the person that is answering the phone understands the business that you're in. So sometimes people, you employ a receptionist, and they say, there's the phone, go for your life. What do you expect? And then they become the gatekeeper. How often have you phoned a company and you want to do business with them? And the person on the other end decides that they're the boss, they're the gatekeeper. And they won't put you through to the person. And if you know the person personally and you say, you call them on their cell phone if you've got that kind of communication, or you run into them at the golf club, say, I tried to call your business and your receptionist wouldn't put me through because you didn't think I deserved to talk to you. Happens all the time. The individual has self-esteem and pride in their company and themselves if they're trained properly and supported. So they're part of the team. Answering the phone after identification, this listening exercise, 100% listening. Now, this is a really interesting feature of how we operate as human beings. How often in a conversation are we waiting to put our part into what people want to say? So we're listening for an opportunity to say what we think, instead of listening to what they're saying. And it's even more important because you don't have body language. You don't have any other communication. You know, they're not breathing heavily on the other side of the room. You can't tell if they're happy, sad, whatever. I think if you bring your happy face to the telephone and you listen, you'll get good results. And so that you're not thinking about lunch, not interjecting with what you might think, and just listening. Aggressive listening is what we all should do as human beings. We've got 2 ears and 1 mouth, but we use them disproportionately, don't you think? Sorry. If your company uses a telephone system, this is my view, they clearly don't understand their business is about customers, or just don't care about people at all. Now, I'm going to give you an example of this. So you phone a company, and they're, you know, sort of a mid-sized company, and maybe they're a graphic designer or something like that. They've got lots of work, but you want to use them. So you phone them and you say, and you get, good morning, ABC graphic company. For Jane, press 1. Now, if your name's Xavier or something like that, and you're at the bottom of the pile, you're not going to get many calls, especially if there's about 10 or 11 names going through, because people get sick of it. There's only one way to answer the phone for any business, big or small. And I've got to say, the Whangarei District Council are fantastic. They've got great people answering the phone, and they personally put you through. That is the way to do it. Excuse me for a moment, I need a drink. So that's the way to do that. Answering the phone is the beginning of your customer service. It's your signature, if that's the first communication. Do you agree? It's your signature for your business. So you get, hello, this is the Zip Bottle Company. Silence. How do you go for that? Do you ever hang up? Do you feel like hanging up? As soon as you feel like hanging up, or your customer feels like hanging up, you're gone. You're history. And you know, the interesting thing is, a bit of courtesy there adds to the courtesy and the flavour of the internal side of your business. In many cases, the first, but amazingly, most people don't have a plan. They don't have a plan at all, and it's really easy. And having a plan for yourself, write down what you're going to say on the phone. And you know, when you haven't done it very well in the past, even with a cell phone, identify who you are. Make sense? And then ask if you can help. And you're a business that, I mean, if we're going to make money, we're in the business of helping people, aren't we? Does anyone have any questions so far? Making sense? Worthwhile? Cool. Outbound calling. Now, this is a whole separate, different exercise. And there's a bunch of rules around outbound calling, but it's an asset to your business if you know how to do it. So this is almost a separate subject. In fact, it is a separate subject. The reason for that is that this is technically a sales function. Isn't it interesting? We live in a society where everyone wants to buy something, but no one wants to be sold. Isn't that true? So how do we flavour that so that it's palatable? If you're calling for an appointment, you're selling the appointment first, and if you realise that, you're way down the track to winning that race. You must open the call with a statement, and this is another thing, respecting people's time. Is now a convenient time to talk? Now, if you ask that, I've done a lot of this kind of work over the years in sales. Phone somebody. The first thing, hi, it's John here from whoever the company is. How are you today? You'd be amazed, just amazed. I've shown that I care. It's gratuitous, but it's real. How are you today? I'm good, thank you. It changes the whole tone of how people respond. Then you say, is now a convenient time to talk? And it's really interesting because once you've done that, you're a little further down the track with the relationship. They might say, no, it's not, but why are you calling? And you tell them, and they say, can you call me back? And they're usually there. They'll usually pick up the phone and take it to the next step. But you phone somebody and say, good morning, it's John here. I'm calling about boom, boom, boom. They're going to tell you to bugger off. They're busy. You haven't opened it up. You haven't actually created an invitation to or earned the right to speak to them. If you're calling to actually sell something, obviously you have created some knowledge of your business, product, service before you call. Now this is really important. If you call somebody straight off, a cold calls are the kiss of death. No one likes making them. Most people are bad at it, and the people on the other end just don't want to know. So you have to open up even if it's just simply, it could be, recently I've been working with the Cancer Society raising funds for Relay for Life. And got a list from Tasha about who to call. So I looked at it and thought, we'll just call them. I'm not going to do that. So we created an email. We told them who we were. We're a charity. We're a worthwhile charity. So created the email and told them when I was going to call. And they were available. Told them when I was going to call. And we had 100% collection out of 20 calls with the email. People said they would donate. Now, you imagine if I called them, straight off the bat, I'm a nuisance. Aren't I? Straight off the bat. And I'm asking for money. But if you warm it up, sell your case, tell them what you're calling about, respect their time, involve them in how you want to do things, you'll win. Oops. Customer follow-up. Another fantastic use of the telephone. Fabulous use of the telephone. Nobody does it. Here's the thing, and this is about service in your business. Do you value and trust what you've delivered? If you do, what's the problem with Friday morning, Friday afternoon, before you lock up? Call all the people that you delivered a product to during the week. Might be 3 or 4 calls, depends on what kind of business you're in. Hi Bruce, how you doing today? Good, thanks. It's John here from whatever it was. Look, just calling to see how the product that we delivered for you is. Are you having any problems or is it going well? Oh, thanks John, that's fantastic. Yeah, look, no, it's brilliant actually. You know something? I was just talking to Fred down the road. He wants one too. Here's his phone number, give him a call. Now, how would that happen if you didn't make that call? And it's a big leap. You know, it's a big leap of your heart to make that call, isn't it? It's a big leap in caring. It's a big leap in communication. But it's important and we should all do it. It connects us. Makes a massive, massive difference to how we operate. It's a follow-up and it's a refer. And the part of this with customer service and all of that sort of thing is a question. Are you referable? That's a bottom line of the longevity of your business. And it's the easy part, because if you're referable and you make those calls, how much advertising do you have to do? Word of mouth's the most powerful medium in the world. Social media says that, doesn't it? So there. Summary. And we're nearly finished anyway, we're just about out of time, I think. You must create a plan, policy of how you answer your business phone and stick to it. Okay? And it's a matter of everybody being on the same. So it's kind of like, it's a situation for having a meeting. If you want to have a meeting and invite me, I'll come and help you. But it's a matter of, people are shy about this stuff. But there's nothing to be shy about. It's part of who you are. It's the heart of your business. And it's part of your training as a human being to communicate well. And when planning outgoing sales calls, you also must have a plan, a script, and a goal for each call, as well as the big goal for how much you're going to improve your business by. There you are. Does anybody have any questions?
For me, John, it's the question around, like there has been such a change of texting, the social media.
Yes.
How do you feel about now the time around people text more?
That's a very interesting, and the question is, how do we deal with texting as a communication tool versus using the telephone? You know, there are rules around texting that in my age group, we didn't learn very early. You know, I've only been able to use a computer for about 12 years. You guys grew up with it. Texting is it's a lazy tool, frankly. I think that if you want to use the text, you send somebody a text and tell them you're going to call them. And then you can clarify things. How much disquiet do some of the texts you get cause you? Because there's a whole grey area of implied words, and we do typos, and it's embarrassing, and, you know. But are you free to talk? I want to talk to you about X. Instead of these, my sister sends me 3 scrolling pages about updating about what's going on in the world, and I don't read it. Why don't you call me? It's impersonal. So to make it personal, I think you send them a text, you respect their time, and see if they can talk about it on the phone, because that's the way the world works. That's better communication, isn't it? You're actually talking to them.
I think there's a time and a place for it.
Oh, for sure. I mean, you're going to make an arrangement or something, like you're going to have a game of golf or go for a swim or something, you meet somebody. But if it's an issue, it's a pretty gutless way of dealing with an issue, and people do that.
You would not.
But people do.
Yeah.
I mean, people have been fired on a text. Should be illegal. In fact, there must be a legal sort of protocol around that. So that's the answer to that question. Folks, thank you very much for your time. Hope you found that worthwhile. And if you need any help with anything, please come and talk to me. I'll come and see it.
Thank you, John. Thank you. I think for me that is really fundamental stuff, but it resonates so well, because I think as you're talking, I'm like, oh, I'm guilty of that, I'm guilty of that, I'm guilty of that, but at the same time, I portray myself as this really great communicator, and I'm really good at this and really great at that, but I think when you break it down a little bit, actually we all have busy periods where, you know, we might be really great on the phone, but we do let life and
Yeah, absolutely.
work and stuff just take, and it is easier just to send an email to follow up sometimes, you know.
Yeah.
So I think that's really important. So thank you for that and your time. And I have got a couple of bottles of wine out there if you can choose one.
Okay.
And,
Thank you very much.
and I will have the other one for social club tonight.
Very good indeed. Thanks, Kayla. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for coming. Cheers.